This is Transcend with Nat, where we are awakening to the spiritual heart, sharing stories and awarenesses along the path of transcendence. Hi, and welcome to Transcend with Nat. This is Nat. I'm your host, and today we are going to be talking about listening and letting go. And to join me, I have my co-host and my co-facilitator in an upcoming retreat here in Puerto Rico, Gretchen Bleiler. She is an Olympic snowboarder, silver medalist, won the X Games a bunch of times. I met Gretchen doing the University of Santa Monica 2-year program in spiritual psychology. Last summer, we did a workshop together in Aspen, and we're going to be doing on June 4th through 9th. We're going to be doing a retreat here in Puerto Rico, which we're going to tell you more about as we get into this podcast. Thank you, Gretchen, for being here. It's good to have you on the show.
Thanks, Nat. I'm excited about this conversation.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've had a guest, so it's actually really cool that we're doing this. And just so people know, the reason we're talking about listening and letting go is that that's a major part of the retreat we're going to be doing. It's called Spiritual Currents, and we are learning to let go. So part of that and part of the experience of this is going to be listening. So, Gretchen, thoughts on listening? How has it affected you, and what's your views or your experience in listening in your life?
Love that question. I feel like I didn't really even know how to listen before I came to the University of Santa Monica. And I really learned an entirely new way of being with listening during my time studying and practicing there. And as we were working on this retreat concept, I kept talking to friends, especially male friends, who would explain the dynamic between men and women talking. And it's not just a man and a woman thing, but this dilemma that happens when somebody shares something. And for so many of us, a natural tendency is to listen to that person. And because we're not used to just being with what people share, because oftentimes if it's an emotional charge, most of us aren't used to being with pain, being with things that are uncomfortable, being with upset, because we haven't really learned how to be with our own pain and upset. And so I found before the University of Santa Monica, and especially because I grew up in a home with a mother who always wanted to fix the problem and to solve my problem and to give me advice, like let's just like immediately take action. And what I've learned in the work that we do and that we're going to be sharing in our retreat is something entirely different, where we're perceiving the person who's sharing, we're perceiving them as whole, creative, wise, that they have all of the resources within them. And so as a listener, it's just our job to really listen from the heart, to hear them, to hear what they're, the content of what they're saying, but the tone from which they're saying it from, the meaning behind it, actually taking in the person. Like there's all of these different levels of listening. But when you're truly listening from a place of, I'm here to just hold space and allow their wisdom to come forward and sharing it, that's a huge paradigm shift. And as I talk with men who have issues in talking with women, this seems to be like, this is the keys to the kingdom to shift sort of our issues. That's why I'm so excited about our upcoming retreat, because I feel like, well, one, the more I talk about it, the more I'm reminded of how to continue to practice this skill. And I just feel like everybody's really wanting this. What are your thoughts, Nat?
I definitely resonate with a lot of what you're saying. From the other perspective, from the male perspective, is it is eye-opening to learn to listen and the power of listening. I remember in the University of Santa Monica, we were watching these old videos. Now I'm going back. I'm hoping I'm remembering this right since we're on this podcast. But I just remember the woman had, are they called pencil dresses? Like it was from the 50s, I think, or 60s. And he had the very thin tie. Just the whole look and the whole vibe of it was pretty cool in and of itself as a time capsule. But the whole approach was just listening, and how his patient unfolded and opened and went places that she probably wouldn't have gone. And it was really powerful. And also, all those years before that, working with John Roger and watching him work with people, and he used to tell people that he's a trained listener. And that's a lot of what he was amazing at. And also learning how to listen spiritually. That's a huge key component to the spiritual practices that I'm involved in. And so there's just so much power in listening. And from the relationship perspective, what guy hasn't heard you're listening to me but you don't hear me, or some version of that? And I definitely gotten that, because also with men with other men, we often do just talk about fixing problems or how to do something. It becomes that type of communication a lot of the time. How are you going to fix this? How are you going to do this? All of that's a lot of explaining. How do I do this? Well, here's how you do this. That's like a lot of men with other men's relationship. Then when it comes to working with the emotional intelligence and working with connecting in a relationship, that's not what's called for often. And also, when working with people in the work I do, that's not what's called for, is giving advice. People think, like, how can you do what you do? It's not about knowing everything. It's about being able to listen and knowing how to listen. And it's so key that if you just reflect, and part of how we're working with listening in the retreat that we're going to be doing is this opportunity to reflect back to people, not just the words that they're saying, because that's one level of listening, hearing the words and repeating them back so that people hear what they're saying. But there's so many depth or deepening of your listening, but one of them, the next level, is hearing the message behind what they're saying, reflecting that to them, and giving people a chance to digest what they're communicating, and to either respond that that's what they mean to say or that's not. And so you start creating this greater connection between people that can be used in all places of life. As you learn to be a listener, as you learn to listen, it's not just with the opposite sex, it's not just with those close, intimate relationships, it's also in business, it's also in all sorts, all of our relationships. If you're going to create connection, learning how to ask questions and listen is so key. So I agree with you. There's so much and so many people that struggle just because they don't have a few basic keys. Like you don't even need that much. I mean, it's a lifetime lesson, is listening. Like, I'm still learning. Every day I learn. I'm sure you feel the same, but you don't need to like know everything or get super deep with listening to have it change your life and your relationships. And so giving people these keys, that's part of why I think both of us are focusing on listening in this retreat.
Love that. I absolutely agree. And I think to kind of summarize what I just heard you say and sort of what I said right before that is the shift from listening from a place of giving advice, solving someone's problem, or fixing their issue, shifting from that place into I am here just to listen to them and to listen to what I'm hearing, to listen to what I'm sensing at the deeper levels behind it, and reflect that back to them so that they can come to their own creative solutions, realizations, and understandings. Like, that's the shift that I never even knew was available or possible. That's the shift. I know, like I said, so many people are wanting without even being able to put words to it.
And to speak to that point, part of the underlying basis of the point you're making is that you come from the place that people have the answers within them for themselves. They may be having trouble accessing them, but people already have those answers. And sometimes they just need someone to listen and to reflect back to them in order for them to be able to access their inner answers. And so you don't even need to give them advice if you're just observing. And there's different levels of listening. You can be listening to and reflecting back to them the emotion that you are experiencing that they're having on the words. And sometimes just stating it, that I'm what I'm hearing is that you have a lot of emotion on this, or it's really charged inside, or it's causing you disturbance. Sometimes that gives someone an opening to just let open the floodgates and to release and to let go.
Yes, to release and to let go emotions perhaps they didn't even know they were holding.
Yeah, and that's a lot of this work. So we approach it from the basis. There's a starting point of the basis of the other person already knows those answers, that there's a part of them, the higher part, the authentic self, the soul that has these answers for them. And so when we start in the listening practice, we start by having people get in touch that that's the part that they're relating to in the other person. Would you like to speak more to that point?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is sort of the foundations of the work that we're going to share. The first step is the perspective that every single one of us, our essential nature is whole, creative, wise, resourceful, peaceful, abundant, fulfilled. The list goes on and on. And when we empower that perspective, not just with the other across from us, but also inside of ourselves, we're the foundation from which we're doing all of this work is that there's nothing wrong with us. There's nothing lacking. There's nothing we should be doing differently. So it's, again, we kind of start with a paradigm shift. At least it was for me. I didn't know that I was inherently whole, worthy, valuable. I had to learn that along the way. But the more I heard it, the more I started to kind of try it on, try it on. I spent most of my life building, achieving, proving, creating a life that I wanted to live so that I could be happy, worthy, valuable, in belonging. I didn't know that it was my essential nature just because I am a human being on this earth. And so that's the paradigm shift. We're operating from this is our foundation. There's nothing that we have to do. There's no becoming here. So that's step one.
And I think that really speaks to the process of finding what that is, which is we're letting go. And you have to let go of all those distractions and things that get in the way, the things that are distracting you into this world, such as your achievements, your goals, all these visions and things, the manifestation that we're trying to create. You let these things go, which is a big part of this retreat, is letting go. Because when you let all that go, what's left is you. What's left is that one that is whole. And the process itself gets you in touch with it. I'm going to paraphrase, I think it's Lao Tzu that said, in the pursuit of learning, every day something is gained. In the pursuit of Tao, every day something is let go of. And so that's a quote that captures a lot of what we're talking about here, is that we're letting go through these processes that we're building for this retreat, which are going to be awesome. And by the way, it's not just going to be letting go of I just heard a really loud motor in the background. So no, Gretchen's in Costa Rica. She's not in Puerto Rico right now. She's in Costa
I'm not in
Rica.
Puerto Rico.
Yeah, but it's a similar climate and she loves to surf. And so which brings me to another point. It's not just gonna be, I think it was an exclamation point on what I was about to say, is that it's not just gonna be sitting there in this tropical paradise processing all your stuff and learning to listen. There's also we're gonna have opportunities to get in the water. It's so gorgeous here. It's that blue, clear water. Just yesterday I was surfing and there's turtles and these bluefish and these striped fish, and they were all so clear as they're all under me. And I had a great time in the water
Wow,
surfing.
Matt.
It was pretty awesome. So there's going to be opportunities for beginner if you don't know how to surf. It's very gentle wave with sand bottom that you can stand up for most of it on, and you can learn to surf as a beginner. You can learn to e-foil, which if you don't know what that is, you should go to the website, go to transcend.online, my website, and you can get to spiritual currents through the event section, and that you'll see pictures of someone basically floating above the water on a board, or flying, and it's got a little motor underneath, and it's a really cool experience. So you're going to get a chance to do that, as well as a beginner free dive class, because right out from where we're staying, it's the where we're staying is maybe 5 minutes from where I live, but it's just like really beautiful place right across from the beach. And that beach is, there's this big blue hole, there's all this snorkeling and diving, and it's just an amazing place. And so you're going to have an opportunity to learn how to free dive, a beginner class in that. So in the mornings we're going to have some fun activities that are geared just to make it fun and make it easy. It's nothing that you won't be able to do. It's all geared towards beginner level stuff. And if you are more advanced at surfing or something, there may be an opportunity for that, because Gretchen and I might go to the little further break with you.
Yes. Yes. So everyone's welcome. Whatever your level is, you're all welcome.
Indeed.
And I will say, there's an element of this retreat that we're offering of coming in with this beginner's mindset, and also like an openness and a willingness to come to your edge, whether that's surfing or freediving or foiling or doing these inner processes in consciousness where we're going to touch into some things and we're going to feel like a beginner, and it's going to get a little bit clunky. But when we do this, I mean, it's called learning, right?
Yeah.
Right? When we're like learning, it can be a bit clunky. And I know personally from experience that like that's where I can step into deeper levels of joy and clarity and inspiration. Like I am expanding past my own boundaries of comfort, and that's where we like get to experience more of ourselves. And so this retreat is definitely designed to give everyone that experience, from the adventure to the inner processes. So come willing and open.
Definitely. And just to clarify, in case people think freediving has something to do with airplanes, it doesn't. Freediving is it's basically holding your breath underwater. So the preparation of it, the learning of it, is actually breath work, is breathing work, and you'll do that. You learn the techniques on land. So it's really cool. And then obviously you get to decide how far down you hold your breath and dive, but there's going to be techniques that help you learn how that breath functions and how you can hold your breath for longer. And it's actually a really cool thing. So there's a lot of adventure. There's a lot of letting go, and the food. The chef we got, Dario, he's absolutely incredible. He's one of those master chefs, and he'll take stuff. he'll just take whatever you have that's from the island. He's a friend of mine. He's right now, I think, somewhere on some super yacht in the Bahamas being a chef, but he just takes whatever local ingredients you have. Robert, who's helping us with the retreat, he has a whole fishing thing, so we're gonna have fresh fish, and then Dario's gonna maybe take a coconut and that you get off a tree, and he'll serve that with the fish and make some amazing dish that I don't even know, because he'll just take whatever the local ingredients he can get. There's so many, papaya and mango and so many amazing tropical fruits here. And you get a chef who knows what they're doing, and all of a sudden it's just incredible. So you're going to be well taken care of at the basic self level. You're going to be fed really well. And that's all part of the retreat. Yeah,
And the
so
location, the location being in a tropical paradise where the rhythm is very different from your everyday rhythm that you're used to, that you sort of sometimes when we're at home, we can all get into a bit of an unconscious rhythm that is not the truth of who we are. And so we take ourselves out of it and we come into retreat and we connect back with, especially in Puerto Rico, like the natural rhythm of ourselves, of nature. And we immediately, just in the environment, feel more connected to our authenticity.
definitely. I mean, this is my life. And that is part of, I get in the water because it's calming. That ocean water, it calms the nervous system. It does something to your mood. It's it's absolutely incredible. And so having that opportunity is part of a retreat where you're letting go as well, doing guided meditations, working in processes with other people who are interested in this kind of work. It's an amazing opportunity. It actually sounds really fun. I'm convincing myself to take
I
it. No,
know. I'm really
I have
excited. I'm so
to.
glad we're both coming
I know.
on this retreat.
I'm gonna enjoy it myself. And that's part of it is, hey, yeah, we're gonna be doing this deeper work. We're gonna be really looking at those parts of ourselves that we can let go of, that are no longer working for us, so that we can really touch more fully back in to the essential nature of who we are, to the authentic self, to the soul, and have that opportunity. But we're also going to have fun. We're also going to have some adventure and just some letting go and some moving in the water and having this beautiful place with the sun that's just going to uplift your mood naturally anyway. And so it's a win-win in all levels. It's kind of the perfect way to do a retreat like this, I think. It's really
Agree
awesome.
100%. 100%.
So I'm
So
looking forward to
I
it.
think I'm really clear on what listening is. Can you speak a little bit more to letting go and what that
Yeah.
really means? What are you talking about? What are we doing with that?
So I'd say that letting go is that process of unwinding the consciousness. So if we give the space with the listening, the example we gave earlier about letting go, where in the listening process, you create this container, this field of energy where people have that space. Space is a huge thing, where there's space enough for people to start unwinding the consciousness. And then all of a sudden, you're going to have this moment where things can release, and things you didn't know you were carrying are all of a sudden coming up in the process. And releasing. Also, the other side of it is when you're listening to others in the process, they start reflecting to you. And this is one of the more amazing things. They start reflecting to you your own problems, and they're talking about them. People trip out because all of a sudden there's someone sitting in front of them, and they maybe thought this person had it all together, or they have a certain preconception of how they look. And then they're speaking exactly to that problem that you're having. And it's actually an incredible experience to have that kind of connection with someone else. And so then you start to feel that safety to open up yourself. And as you open up, you become aware of these other places. And the processes are designed to lead you down this road into a deeper connection with those areas. And sometimes those areas are based on a hurt in the emotional area. It can be hurt, it can be unresolved emotional conflict or disturbances. And one of the ways that we bring that into healing is through the application of loving. And sometimes it's just the listening and the awareness that can bring that healing. It becomes this aha moment, this eureka moment of, oh my God, that's what it was. And it just releases, and it's amazing. And so part of the letting go process that we're leading people through is we're focusing on letting go of limiting beliefs and judgments. We're going to be using a really profound key of forgiveness. And then we're going to move into the emotional level of the emotional blocks and the hurts. And we're going to focus on those. And then we're going to also do some process that will relate to the unconscious and how to let go of those unconscious blocks, because some things that are running us that we can't seem to get to, they're stored in the unconscious in ways that we don't understand and don't necessarily make sense. So having tools to let those go are also really amazing. And then by the end, part of the process in this letting go is that as you let go, more of your authentic self starts coming through, more of who you truly are, the essential nature of your soul, of your essence, that starts just coming through more. And then you can become more in touch with that and get those tools and those things that can help you going forward in your life to live more in that intention and that experience of who you truly are more fully. So that,
Oh, well
so
done
do you
breaking it down.
do you have
So
any
if you had
commentary
any
on that?
question around what we're doing in this retreat, just go back and listen to what Nat said. That's the flow. If you're not quite sure what he's talking about, come, because when I entered into this work, I had no idea what I was stepping into. It literally took me and transformed me from the inside out without even understanding what was going on until I started waking up to the experience, and I was able to start to see more clearly what this work really is. And so it's an experience where you have to, first of all, you have to have the courage to say yes, and then just show up, show up, show up, show up, and be open, be willing to bring forward the things that you don't even want to bring forward, because that is how we get free. That is how we heal. And these tools are tools that, again, they sort of, like, people say there's not a handbook for life. I disagree. I think this is the handbook for life.
Well, I look forward to you getting here and us putting on this retreat, and hopefully some of you listening, participating with us in that. I would get on it because it's such a cool retreat. This may fill up very fast. And so uh, let's get on it. Hopefully there's still spaces by the time this gets out there. Thank you, Gretchen, for coming on the show. Thank you for talking about this with me. Go to transcend.online to my website, and you can see in the event section a link to get more information about this retreat and how to sign up. And if you have any questions, you can just reach out to me through the website, transcend.online. And God bless you all. Until next time. 'Cause I'm free. Just forgive yourself. Come on, let it be. 'Cause I'm free.